Good afternoon and welcome back to NASA's Johnson Space Center. This is our briefing following the mission management team meeting today. This is flight day 15 of the STS-134 space shuttle mission to the International Space Station. And to give us some comments from today's meeting, we have the chairman of the MMT, Leroy Kane, who is also the deputy program manager for the space shuttle. So I'll turn it over to Leroy for comments and then open it up for questions.
Thank you, Kylie. Good afternoon. It's great to be here with you today. We are, as you know, coming to the end of a spectacular mission here with Endeavour. The crew continues to perform excellent, as well as the vehicle on orbit. Yesterday, we saw a magnificent display of the two vehicles as, of course, we executed the undocking, the separation, the fly around, the re-rendezvous, if you will, and we just got some spectacular views from both the orbiter as well as from the station looking back at the orbiter. And so that was pretty exciting. Of course, the DTO went very well, and we gathered a lot of good data. The team today came into the mission management team and briefed us on the status of all of the activities. Of course, we're flying alone now. Endeavour's flying alone with the Endeavour crew and preparing for end of mission, our normal landing and end of mission activities. Crew's sleeping now, and we just reviewed the status of the vehicle and the systems and the plan forward. The one thing we talked in a little bit of detail is the entry plan. The entry flight director gave the summary of his plan for entry and landing, and so we reviewed that plan. It's a very good plan. We have a very good chance to get landed at KSC on end of mission day, which is early morning hours on Wednesday morning. So we're looking very much forward to that. As I said, the vehicle is performing outstanding. We have no new significant anomalies to talk about. The mission has gone very well. We're happy that we were able to accomplish all the objectives in the docked mission. I think our space station friends are very happy with the progress that we made. And so we left them, I think, in great shape, and their crew in great spirits. So we're looking very much forward here to the end of the mission. Our biggest milestone remains, obviously, to get Endeavour and the crew back on the ground early morning on Wednesday at Kennedy Space Center. So been a great mission. It's good to be here with you today. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Come on up.
Thank you. I'm Mark Carreau for Aviation Week. Do you have a nominal end of mission plus 2 days in your thinking, or less or more at this point? And what are your limiting consumables on the orbiter and making further determinations?
Okay, Mark. We have a lot of capability. We gave the space station as much oxygen as the station could take in its tanks, in addition to repressurizing before we undocked. And so we feel really good about the consumable status that we left the station in. And again, because we had some capability going into the mission, not knowing exactly how much power AMS was going to use before we got her off the ship and onto the station, as well as some other factors, launching on time and things of that nature, we have a lot of cryo capability, a lot of the cryogenics that we use to power the fuel cells for the power on the vehicle. So from that consumable standpoint, we've got more capability than we thought we would have at end of mission. In our other consumables, we have our standard +3 capability. So we have 3 days beyond our planned end of mission day in all of our consumables to include the cryogenics. And as is usual, O2 is our limiting consumable where the cryogenic is concerned. And so we have a lot of capability. The entry flight director will be over here, I think, tomorrow. In all likelihood, tomorrow sometime he'll talk to you. Maybe it's late tonight. I don't know.
4 a.m.
Okay, so 4 a.m. in the morning. He'll be here to talk to you in detail about the entry plan, and he can give you the details of the consumables as well. But in general, we have end of mission, what we call end of mission +3 capability, which is 3 full days of capability to extend beyond our planned end of mission day if we should need it. Now, the plan that we talked about today is one whereby in all likelihood, we'll be able to land on into mission, at least from a weather standpoint, and if everything else holds up. But if we're not able to, then we would, in all likelihood, call up Edwards and try to land on into mission +1. It's been a long mission, and we do like to factor in all of the other things that we think about for mission duration. And so it's unlikely that we would use anything beyond EOM +1. We have the capability. We always have that option. We'll assess things as we go. But the plan right now would be to land, if not on into mission, then in all likelihood on EOM +1.
Denise Chow at space.com. I was just wondering if you could sum up the performance of Endeavour on its final flight throughout the whole mission.
Performance has been outstanding. And we have been very fortunate because of the hard work of the teams on the ground to prepare these vehicles. I think, when I think back to the last couple of years, really, of missions, we've been extremely fortunate with the performance of the vehicles on orbit. And certainly this has been no exception. It's difficult to say whether this has been, the very best performance of Endeavour on orbit in terms of numbers of system anomalies and things of the like. I don't know that I could say that, but it's not because it's not true. It's because I just haven't sat down and put the mission side by side in that level of detail. But certainly from a macro scale standpoint, the performance has been nothing short of just outstanding. And of course, we have some really important milestones remaining. Tonight, when the crew gets up, they'll do their normal end of mission -1 activities, which will include powering on a lot of the entry and landing systems to check them out. And I'm quite sure they'll all work just fine. But there's, still some milestones ahead of us where we've got to continue to stay focused and continue to be able to deal with things as they come. But the performance up till now on this mission for the flying alone part as well as the dock part of the mission has just been outstanding.
Hi, Robert Perlman with collectspace.com. Realizing that a couple of days ago the MMT cleared Endeavour's heat shield, was there anything in the SRB video or anything that you reviewed that's going to give you anything to look at before Atlantis, or in the pad flow up to Atlantis' launch that you need to review?
There is some data, Robert, that we'll look at as a matter of course as we go through our post-flight reviews. We have a couple of areas where we've identified some things in video that we want to take a closer look at to identify exactly what is it, when did it come off, where did it come off of, what is the debris source, is it an issue for the next tank, was it specific to this ET-122 Katrina tank kind of performance. We got to look at all that, and we're just in the early stages of doing that. Most of the team is focused, of course, on the Endeavour mission until we get her landed, and then. But we do have some folks off looking ahead to include some of the propulsion elements, and so we'll have some review of all of that data. Frankly, we'll have our normal review of all of that data in our normal post-flight review activities, and so I don't see anything that's poking out right now that gives me great concern in that regard. But again, it's usually not until we get the wheels on the ground and we really put more of our focus on the next mission before we can say with any great detail or confidence that that all those reviews are complete. So that's forward work for us.
Okay, any more questions here? We'll go to, come on.
Thanks, Mark Carreau, for Aviation Week. I wonder if you might review some of the dates ahead for 135 milestones, like the dates for the tanking test and the flight readiness reviews, if you have them handy. I don't know.
Let's see. We have our no earlier than launch date, that at least for planning purposes, of July 8th. And so we typically back up from that to set our flight readiness review date, which today is June 28th. And a week prior to that, we'll do our shuttle program flight readiness review. In between there, I believe we're doing the tanking test on the 23rd. And so we've got some work to do between now and then, obviously. There's also actually that's not right, I think the 23rd. I better not give you those dates because I'm not 100% sure. I was about to correct myself and say I think that the TCDT is the 15th and the tanking test is the 23rd. But for sure the FRR is the 28th. The targeted launch date is July 8th. We do have the TCDT and the tanking test and the post-tanking test activities penciled in the timeline, but most of the numbers I have jammed into my brain right now are associated with the mission that we have on orbit. But we have those dates, Mark, and we can get those to you.
We'll go to the questions on the phone bridge. We'll start with Gina Sinceri, please. Gina, are you there? Okay, we'll try Jim Oberg next. Jim, are you on the line?
Yeah, hello there.
Okay, go ahead, Jim.
I'm wondering if you have any, Leroy, if you have any update from outside about the status of the Soyuz back out pictures. You got the shuttle pictures of the ISS. We're still waiting for the Soyuz pictures of the ISS.
Yeah, Jim, we're all pretty excited to see him. I hope we get to see him sooner than later. The last I heard was we should expect them not earlier than June 6th. And I suppose there's an outside chance we may get a sneak preview of them before that, but I don't have any better intelligence for you than that right now.
Do you have another question?
For me, all.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
We'll try Irene Klotz next.
Hi, thanks very much. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me all right?
Go ahead.
Thanks very much. Leroy, a year ago, NASA was preparing to end the shuttle program after this mission if funding for 135 didn't come through. And I know they're still landing ahead, and you guys are still really deep in the day-to-day, but I was wondering if you might be able to just take a step back for a minute and share any thoughts or feelings you might have about the imminent shutdown of this program.
Okay, Irene. It's interesting, the dynamics of things as you come toward the end of, in this case, the shuttle program. We've been through a lot in the last few years. The planning, I think, has been outstanding. The execution has been, I think, our greatest achievement in terms of being able to actually follow through on the plans that we put forward. And then, because execution involves being able to adjust to things when they come up, things that you expect as well as things that you don't expect, and you have to have some flexibility, and you have to really stay within yourselves and your processes to be able to move forward and do it safely. And I think we've done that. I think, we said a couple years ago, certainly within the last year that you mentioned, we've talked a lot about finishing strong, and we've been very determined as a team to do that. And the last mission of Discovery, I think you saw that. I think you're seeing it play out here with Endeavour. I'm quite confident you'll see it when we go fly Atlantis in July. And I just couldn't be more proud of the team in terms of how they've come through on plan. On plan being to finish strong. The details always change. And so the flexibility and resilience of the team is I think what really stands out. With respect to shutdown and talking about LAS and all of that, we've talked a great deal about all those things. I think we've talked about those things and rightfully so. And we've given I think we've given the right level of detail and attention and respect and reverence to the things that we should as we go along, and we have some very important and historic milestones. What I would say about all that is we're very much looking forward to some firsts. And in other words, We've known for a while that the lasts were coming. We all understand that, and we're dealing with that, and we're certainly executing, and we're going to execute to the end. But you know, in my mind, last also means first. If you're doing the last of something, you're getting ready to do the first of something else. And I think it's really important for us to transition here to what is ahead. And what's ahead is really what a lot of folks are looking forward to and getting excited about. There's opportunity. There's possibility. There's change, and those things are for every bit as scary and uncertain, and you know, perhaps you know, people head into those things with a little bit of trepidation. For every bit as much as they are those things, they're exciting. And so that's what I'm beginning to think about, Irene, when I think of last is more about first and about new and about moving forward and about what can we do next. And about, you know, while we're recognizing what we've done with the shuttle, and certainly it's more than you know, we could talk about for hours and hours and hours, and we should continue to do that, and I know we will, and we've chronicled those things, and we should continue to do that, and we will finish strong. We'll finish this mission strong, we'll finish the Atlantis mission strong, and as a program, we will finish very strong. I'm confident of that. We've said that before. And as we go forward, we're gonna transition here from last to first, and I think that's important for people to think about it that way. And I think it's important for us to start to have that in our dialogue, because that is where the excitement is generated from, and that is what I know I'm thinking about, and the folks that I work with day in and day out are excited to look forward. So that's where I'm putting my emphasis.
Thanks, Leroy, for the thoughtful answer. The other question I had was just for 135, is there anything that you know of now that is going to be added or has been requested to be added to the manifest following the 134 mission? Thanks.
Well, there have been a couple things come up during the course of this docked mission, Irene, and those are the only things that we've talked about that are new that I'm aware of. And so once we get the wheels on the ground here and we pull our heads up and we get into the flight readiness review process for 135 for Atlantis, we'll review in more detail, and there may be a few things here and there that were perhaps going to be manifested or demanifested. Two things from this mission, from the dock phase, we talked about. One is one of the bags of water, one of the CWCs, and so there's a plan in work to try and bring back another one in the MPLM on 135. Another one is a grapple fixture that we're leaving behind here, and we may end up bringing it back in the MPLM as well on STS 135. So. Those are two notable items, and then there will always be other puts and takes to the manifest between now and the next week or two where the MPLM is concerned, and then maybe a little bit beyond that for the mid-deck items.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the line is Bill Harwood. Bill, are you still there? We'll try James Dean, please.
Thanks very much. James Dean from Florida today. I had a few questions. First, just a quick one, Leroy, on the weather. You sound pretty confident about getting down on EOM. I just wonder, is that because the crosswinds that we're now seeing as a violation are real close to the allowable limits?
Yeah, James, the weather briefing today was pretty good, and again, the entry flight director will give you all the details associated around that. My takeaway from the weather briefing was that the feature that's setting up pretty much in the next 24 hours here is one that's going to cause the winds to be out of the east, and they're going to be blowing a little bit. But in all likelihood, probably if they're around our limits, they're not going to be really above them or much above them. And then as you go through the night, you know, the second opportunity looks like it might be a little bit better. So primarily my confidence in the end of mission weather at this point is it's nighttime. It's usually not that windy at night. Even when a feature like this sets up, a lot of times we're able to, if not the first opportunity, the second opportunity, when things die down a little bit, we're able to make it work out. And if not, that's perfectly fine. It's end of mission day. We do our best to try to get into KSC. There's no reason to push things, and I know that the team will look at possibly going around to the next day, depending on what cards were dealt. So, but overall, as far as weather forecasts go, it's pretty good, and it's a good time of day/night. I guess very, very early in the morning in Florida. Generally, a good time to try to get in terms of weather. So it looks pretty good overall.
Thanks. And so if it does work out, I assume that you'll be there, and just wondered if you could comment on kind of that special coincidence, I guess, of Atlantis rolling out at the same time. And just following up on Irene's question, what do you think the tenor of the Space Center will be as that's all unfolding? Will it be a happy or sad occasion?
Well, let's see. First of all, yeah, it was really nice of our KSC team members to schedule things so that we could be there at the same time as Atlantis rollout. So for anybody that can be there in the evening before landing, before Endeavor's landing on Wednesday morning, you'll be able to witness rollout to the launch pad of Atlantis, weather permitting. Which, well, again, we have a good forecast. It sounds like it will be a good night for a rollout as well. So we very much appreciate that. And of course, I'm kidding a little bit, because the schedule is not driven, doesn't have anything to do with my schedule or anybody else's for that matter. We go when we're ready, obviously. But that'll be nice. It'll be exciting. It'll be an opportunity for the team to see two large, vehicle milestones. One, obviously, with getting Atlantis out to the launch pad, and then following that up just a few short hours later with hopefully landing on the first opportunity at KSC of Endeavour. So, the tenor will be excitement, James. Folks get really excited about these things, as well they should. They work really hard to get to this point on any one of these. In the case of Atlantis, to get to this point in the flow of Atlantis. Obviously, this is huge because it's the final rollout of Atlantis to the launch pad, and a lot of excitement around that. Sadness. People deal with these things in their own ways, and so I would expect overwhelmingly, though, the air and the overall tenor of the thing to be a lot of excitement, and again, folks realizing that what we're doing here is really important. It's been in some ways it's been historically it will be very important in many ways, but at the same time, really looking forward to what we're about as an agency and what we're about as a nation in terms of moving forward and having a lot of excitement and about that and being able to look forward to what's next.
Thanks very much. And then lastly, I just want to ask you, you discussed how Endeavour has left the station in very good shape, and just wondered if you could look ahead again to 135 and just sort of explain how that mission picks up from where Endeavour left off in terms of, station's long-term sustainability and operation.
Sure. We put kind of the final assembly pieces, if you will, the large pieces on the station, at least from a shuttle station assembly standpoint, with AMS and the ELC-3, and then we even gave station our orbiter, our boom system, sensor system. And so we won't be leaving any other large pieces behind when we come up with Atlantis. Obviously, we have the MPLM and the associated cargo in it that we'll haul up and unload, and then we'll repack it with some things we're going to bring home. It'll be very much a logistics kind of mission, the last opportunity for the shuttle to do that for the space station. And so the missions are different in that regard. Neither one is more important than the other, in my opinion. They're both very important. This one was really important for the station, for us to be able to get here and accomplish this mission. And obviously, we've completed the dock phase of it. And again, as I said, we have, as we look forward, I keep reminding you as well as everyone else that you know, our most significant, most important milestone remains for Endeavor's mission here on orbit, and so we look forward to that Wednesday morning. But as it relates to 135 and the Atlantis mission, it will be very important for station as well. I think I probably cannot characterize the importance as well as some of my friends in the space station program can do for you when they come over and talk to you. But it is primarily logistics, James, and a lot of times folks hear that and they think, oh, okay, it's just, you know, Band-Aids and food and whatever else, and it's really not. It's more than that, and it is extremely important for station and for the viability of station for the next calendar year is what I would say.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, we'll try back on the line. Is Gina on there?
Yes, I'm on the line. Leroy, you talked about the importance of 135 as a logistics mission. People have described it as kind of a U-Haul truck going up and a recycling truck coming back. How do you sell this to people who say, boy, that's boring?
You know, there's nothing boring about a space shuttle mission. So that's where my difficulty begins in terms of having the discussion around those kind of parameters. If you know, to be around the shuttle system and to be around a shuttle launch and to be around, you know, a docking with the space station, and then shuttle station docked activities and what the crew does on board and what their crew day is involved and what's involved in their crew day, to be around that and to be around an undock and a fly around and a deorbit and a landing and a rollout, and I don't know how you can be around that or have awareness of that or have an understanding of what's really going on and be bored. So I suppose it's possible for that to be a boring thing, and I think if you just talk about the mission in terms of, well, we're going to launch a shuttle, it's going to be a logistics mission, and that's the end of it, then maybe that would be boring for some people. But I would talk about what it really means to get a shuttle on orbit to begin with, which is no small feat, as you well know, and try to give folks remind folks of an appreciation of what it is we're dealing with here in terms of getting to low Earth orbit. It's not easy to do. We're a little bit, we have a little bit of a challenge sometimes in terms of explaining things because sometimes the shuttle missions kind of look easy. I admit that seems true. It couldn't be further from the truth, however. And so I would talk about the complexities in general of a shuttle station docked mission. And regardless of what you're carrying up or bringing home, it's pretty fascinating to be able to accomplish it on any mission. Those primary objectives of launching, docking, and exchanging cargo and then undocking and landing, those are pretty huge, significant, never easy objectives to achieve.
Okay, we'll try Bill Harwood again too. Must not be on the line. Any follow-ups here? No? None? We do have some programming notes. We are having a technical difficulty with the editing of the flight day highlights, so that hasn't aired on NASA television yet. We'll get that at the top of the hour during the crew sleep period as soon as we can. The crew is scheduled to awaken just before 6 p.m. Central Time this evening at 5:56 p.m., and that is the first of two original songs that will be played for the crew's wake up during the mission as part of the song contest. The second place winner will be played tonight for that wake up. And then the preparation for the Space Shuttle Endeavor's return to Earth, including also a break for the crew members to have interviews with network news representatives, which will be at 8:06 p.m. Central Time this evening. And taking time to pay tribute to Endeavour. That will be at 11:26 p.m. And as mentioned, the next mission status briefing will be at 4 a.m. Central Time Tuesday morning with the entry flight director, Tony Sakachi, after his shift with preparing Endeavour for its return to home. Thank you, and we'll turn it over to Mission Control.